Let me take you into something I really find mind-blowing. A few months ago, a friend of mine that's a really good trader was looking into some concepts of ICT, and ICT spoke about how you can see the year into quarters, right? So we have like the seasonal stuff. So the first quarter of the year, second, third, fourth, and how they have a tendency to move in a certain way because of the algorithm. So the friend of mine, and let me grab the post he sent me, he said, you can also look at quarterly shifts fractally. And I will dive into it and explain everything to you, but I think this is the hack of the algorithm. So this is something you can see on all time frames. So the yearly, monthly, weekly, stuff like that. So let me explain. ICT always talks about that you can look at price action in a form of accumulating price, like consolidation phase, then a manipulation phase, and then distributing, right? So if he speaks about the Judo swing, that's the manipulation phase, and then the distribution phase. So he is always talking about that power of three concept, right? So the consolidation, manipulation, and then the distributing. And the distribution phase is the phase where you want to trade, right? So and that's also where his weekly profiles come from. Mostly that's why he doesn't trade like Mondays. Most of the times that's the consolidation quarter of the week. Then on Tuesday there's a quarter with manipulation. So in 70% of the times that's when the high of the week or the low of the week is made, right? So it's a concept that's fractal. It happens over the year, it happens over the months, it happens over the week, it happens over the day, and it happens over the session. So when we dive into it, let me explain you a little bit more on how I think this hack can really help you become a better trader, right? So the quarterly theory is nothing else but this profile. Accumulation, manipulation, distribution, and then a fourth quarter, which can be a reversal or a continuation of this distribution trend, right? There are only two profiles possible. It's either AMDX or it's XAMD. And once you know how to identify these two profiles, it becomes really easy to get in on the right part of the price action and, of course, timing in the market. So it's either AMDX or it's XAMD, and I will show you loads of examples in a minute. And that means in like the ICT terms, the accumulation phase is most times the consolidation phase. The manipulation phase is the Judo swing. The distribution phase is the low resistance liquidity run. He always talks about getting on the low resistance liquidity runs, but how to identify them, right? And the fourth quarter is a reversal of this run or a continuation in the same direction of this run. So when we apply this to the charts, and first I want to take you to the chart of the dollar. Let me remove this. Over here we have the dollar chart. And I'm on the weekly chart. First I wanted to take you in a high time frame, then I'm going to show you how you can trade this intraday and show you a setup where you could have played it, just a setup from last week on GBPUSD. So when we have this chart, what happens if I place a quarterly vertical line on the chart? That are these lines. These lines represent 3 months each. So when we look at this year, this was January until April, until June, July, and then here's October. So these are quarters of the year. What if we apply the theory on it? What would that look like? And I placed, and I will start maybe here to show you some examples. So this was the end of 2009, so the start of 2020, right? There's also the March Corona stuff, I guess. So what you see over here is an accumulation phase, then the manipulation phase up, and then it starts to distribute. Retrace a bit, and then continue in the X. The manipulation is a little bit before April, but it doesn't matter. This is accumulation, manipulation up, distributing price down, little retracement, and then continuing in the same direction. And that was all 2020. So this had a AMDX profile. When we go to 2021, look at this. We have the accumulation phase, then the manipulation. And what does the manipulation phase do? It takes out liquidity. And what do I mean by that? It takes out this liquidity, and then it starts rallying. So it's distributing and then continuing. We go to 2022. This year has a different profile. This is XAMD. So we have a X, still continuation of the trend. Then a consolidation phase where we start going up and down and up and down. And then it starts manipulating massively up and distributing down. That was the last phase of 2022. This year, I see this profile happening. We have an X, so it's reversing and then accumulating. And it manipulated down in July, and I expect a distribution up. It's also conform all my analysis that we will visit this box. Let me just turn on my, that was the box. This is a monthly fair value gap, monthly order block. I think we will go up there, and it also fits into the profile of the year. So this is the X, this is the A, and now we're manipulating down. We took out all this liquidity. Everybody was thinking we were going to go down more, but no, it's just a manipulation phase of the cycle. And now we're distributing up, and we're going to end up somewhere around here probably for the rest of the year. So the great part is, this is fractal theory. So what happens on the yearly also happens within a month. So the first week of the month is either a accumulation profile or a reversal continuation of the previous cycle. So it's either a or a X. So it's up to you to decipher what is the manipulation phase, because after that comes the distribution, and that's what you want to trade, right? So within a week, you can also, that's why ICT always says don't trade on Mondays, or it's less likely to find a good setup on Monday. Of course, you can scalp if you're good at it, stuff like that. But if you want to trade the weekly profile, the weekly expansion phase, then you have to wait until like at least Tuesday when the manipulation is over. But maybe the manipulation even happens on the Wednesday if it's an XAMD profile, right? But it also happens within a day. And now that's where it becomes interesting, because we can divide the day into 4 quarters of 6 hours. So we have 4 quarters of 6 hours. And let me tell you how this works. I'm going to go to GBPUSD. I have a little indicator set up on a chart that just simply let me see which quarter is what. Because how do the quarters in a day work? It's relatively simple. Midnight, New York time, is the start of a quarter. So I'm on the -4 New York time chart. And if I go to the 12 a.m. time, that is the start of a quarter. And then it's in total, that first quarter of the day is in total 6 hours. But now it becomes interesting. Those 6 hours, you can also divide into quarters. So everything's fractal. And you can also divide a quarter into a quarter and quarter into... So if you want, you can go to the seconds chart, but don't do that. So when we apply that theory, this is where ICT came up with these kill zones, right? Because if the London session, if we take the London session as 6 hours from noon, is it noon? No, that's not noon. It's hard for me to talk in AM and PM because we have a 24-hour clock, right? So midnight to 6 a.m. are all the quarters where London happens. Then from 6 a.m. to 12 noon is where the AM session of New York is happening. Then from 12 to 6 is PM session New York, and then from 6 to midnight again is the Asian session. So if you divide it into 4 quarters of 6 hours, those are the big sessions. And now this is where it becomes really, really nice that ICT based his kill zones on these quarters because his kill zones are from 2 to 5. So it starts somewhere around in this manipulation phase and then this into the distribution phase, right? So he always says, find your entry within the kill zones. That is exactly where they're at. So now it becomes really, really cool. If you look at this, right? This was GBPUSD last week on the Friday, September 8th. Yeah, that's correct. Friday, September 8th. What happened? What you want with a manipulation phase is that it takes out liquidity. Then it's at least a manipulation you can trust on entering. So if I zoom out a bit, what you can see over here is that GBPUSD took out a really significant high. So this was buy side that was taken out during the London manipulation phase. So we had some buy side over here. And when I go back to the 5 minute, what you can see is this. This is consolidating, right? It's just going up and down, and now it's manipulating, taking out that buy side. And what's important is that you have the daily bias right. So my daily bias was still, we're looking for shorts, the dollar is coming up higher. So with taking out this massive buy side and knowing that it's in the second quarter where it's manipulating, it's not very likely that it will go up higher because my bias is bearish. And I have all these components in place right now. So the only thing I have to do right now is wait for a displacement. So wait for a break of structure happening. So to take out a swing low. And that's what it did over here. So we're still in London kill zone. It manipulated up, took the buy side. We're in the second quarter. It displaced down right now and created a really nice fair value gap with the displacement. So how can you trade this? Just enter on the fair value gap that caused the displacement, place your stop above the highs or even above the fair value gap. But if you want to be safe, just place it above the high. Take a 1 to 2. And you see it's consolidating, manipulating, and starting the distribution phase, right? So this distribution is going up. And now it starts to reverse back down to continue the trend. And finally, it took the take profit. So as you can see over here, you could have traded this with the quarterly theory in mind. It's what ICT teaches, right? The Judas swing. And then you can enter on the fair value gap with the displacement. But if you keep the quarterly theory in mind, it's a lot easier to define where you want to enter. So I think this is the algorithm hack. But I'm still doing research on this. It's still, for me, like finding out what I can use and what not, and when it's more likely to happen and stuff like that. But test it out. Just backtest it. See if you can see the AMDX or the XAMD profiles. And also one tip, I recently found out like 2 weeks ago that besides the friend of mine, someone else is also talking about this. And let me show you. He's called Daye, and he talks about it on his Twitter. So if you want to learn more about this, watch his Twitter space or his Twitter tweet feed. Twitter, X, I don't know what it's called lately. You can follow that, but let me know what you think about this, because I think it's the algorithm hack and you never have to lose money again. So let me know what you think about this. Maybe show some charts. Join me in my own Discord community if you want to learn more about this, because I'm going to share more about this, my findings, stuff like that, and how I can trade this. I will also add it to my course. But for now, I'm still in the investigation phase and just testing, and have been doing that since May when my friend pointed this out to me. So let me know what you think of this, and maybe I'll see you in my community. Maybe you will watch some strategies I already put on the channel. I really recommend watching my LBS strategy, because I think that's a really, 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 really profitable strategy. It's just for free out there on my YouTube. But if you want to trade with me, join my Discord. It's a really small price for the first 50 members right now. I just launched it Friday, so it's fresh and clean, and I'm really looking forward to helping people there become more profitable and more sovereign trader, right? Because you just want to create a life that works for you and where you feel good in, and you have the financial freedom and also have this skill set that people can never take away from you, right? So that is my goal with the community. And I hope you have a really good day, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.